1 John 1:4 gives us a couple of interesting things to learn. It's pretty straightforward to translate, though. And these things we write, okay, first person plural, hemes, we, so it's an emphatic, we are writing these things in order that, and remember, whenever you get a hina, what are you looking for? Looking for a subjunctive, that's important. The joy of us, and then might be fulfilled. Okay, let's look at a couple of these things. First of all, what on earth is that? Okay, this is one of those periphrastic constructions, right? Where it is a form of a me and a participle. And on 30.16 in BBG, I give you the list of all 6 kinds of periphrastics. Originally, periphrastics were created to emphasize the ongoing aspect of the verb. That is pretty much dropped out, and you just translate them as a regular indicative verb. When you have the imperfective a me and a perfect participle, it's technically a periphrastic pluperfect. So you translate this in order that our joy, because it's subjunctive, might be fulfilled. Okay, there's play rao, right, with a reduplication, lengthened connecting vowel, participle morpheme. So this is just that periphrastic construction. But what I also wanted to emphasize were these little brackets. Okay, these are brackets for text critical purposes, and this particular one indicates that the following word is replaced by another word in some of the Greek manuscript. And so you go to the bottom of your Bible and find the same sigla for that particular verse. And what they're saying is that instead of hemes, some texts have the dative second person who mean, which means that the pronoun is not repeating what's in the verb, but as we write these things to you all. And then you notice on this second one, the same sigma with a dot, and all that means is that there's 2 words that they want to talk about. The dot is there so you don't confuse this with the previous one. And so you go to the bottom of your Bible and you find that same symbol in that particular verse, and you notice that this is the second person genitive plural. So the variant is in order that our joy might be fulfilled. So was John saying that he's writing so that his joy be fulfilled, he and the people with him, or is he writing so that the people who receive the letter's joy will be fulfilled? This is a very common kind of text critical issue. It happens all over the place. But what's important here is that it doesn't really change the meaning of the verse. John is writing so that people's joy will be fulfilled, will be complete, will be filled up. And yet you can talk to people who talk about the thousands, hundreds of thousands of variants among the Greek manuscripts, but what they often don't do is talk about the significance of those. There's very little significance between the first person, hemon, and the second person, humon. And yet this is a very common kind of variation among the manuscripts that don't really add up to a whole lot. The phrasing of 1 John 4 is pretty straightforward. Hina introduces a dependent clause. It always goes on its own line. So what is the hina tying into? It's into we write. Why are we writing? In order that our joy might be fulfilled. John understands that the truth of the gospel and the implications of the gospel ultimately bring joy to both parties, depending upon which textual variant you want to follow. The author and his group finds great joy in sharing the truths of Jesus, and the people who receive the good news of the gospel are filled with joy. I guess the question we should always ask ourselves is that when we leave church and we've listened to a sermon, are we filled with joy?